Warning. The content on this channel is not intended or suitable for minors below 13 years of age. If that is you, please click off and come back when you're older. By continuing beyond this point, you affirm that you are 13 years of age or older.
What's up? What is going on, Swearoos? And today we looked at the menus. We looked at a lot, maybe half or so of the bike parks in the last video. This one, for Descenders, we are actually going to start a career path, and so the two of them, the Xbox and the PS4. I started a daily challenge on both of them. For the PS4, it's my first ever daily challenge, and for the Xbox, of course, is one I've done many times. What's interesting is at the end of it, the PS4 I crashed out first. I could not get my shit together on some of those levels, but you'll see all that. But the what's interesting to me is how much more reputation I had on the Xbox, which, so in one respect you could say, well, I played the Xbox way more, I should have more reputation, but I really wasn't chasing reputation for the early parts of that at all. I didn't try to get achievements or any of that. We were just largely just fucking around, trying to get up with spectacular crashes, which of course is a very valid for that type of game. It serves well for that. Like, you can mangle your rider to the point where he should be just completely dead with every bone he has broken. You can get some really crazy crashes going with that. So that's what we did in the large part with the Xbox for quite a while. And with the PS4, of course, I'm much more versed in the controls and doing tricks and all that shit. I don't do it all the time, and I keep meaning to do it, and I keep forgetting. So maybe by the time I do the Career Plus, I'll actually remember some of this, hopefully. But so with these two, I started the daily challenge. This video will be the first two levels, which is the Highlands and Forest, and you can see there is a dramatic difference. This is really where the differences come in when you go on the career path. So we're starting with just a career session. This video will be, like I said, just Highlands and Forest. The next one after this will be the conclusion, so it'll be the canyons and peaks. I did not wind up getting to the volcano or the thing that comes after the volcano in Career Plus. The idea with those is you have to jump through fire hoops on every single boss jump. And I've come close to that a few times, but it's really hard not to fuck that up, especially on the PlayStation. PlayStation is super difficult for that. So a lot of this video was I really looked at this and I said, okay, so if you're starting this out, what would be the better console? By far, if you have an Xbox, Game Pass is a zillion times easier. Now, that might change when eventually I'll get around to getting PS Plus, I'm sure. So once I do that, hopefully they'll have a Black Friday special or something, but once I do that, hopefully it'll restore the tracks more to where the Xbox are, because I'm all about speed. I am speed. And that's really what, that's really the style I like a little bit more. I mean, you'll see it, because it's hard for me to let off the accelerator because I just want it to go fast, but the Xbox does lend itself better to that style of playing. I like the controller better on the PS4, but I like I like having less shit for me to run into on the Xbox, and of course you'll see that looming large here in the coming up. So without any further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so you can see there all the tasks are done on the Xbox side. So over on the PlayStation side, there are sponsor tracks, and those are only available on the actual career run. They are not available on Career Plus. They also want some. It's wanting some 5,000 reputation per track, which is possible if you do a lot of stunts and stuff like that. For my style, the only way I can really do that is on the desert, generally. So there's also some interesting things to note here, and we'll be looking at those. There you can see that the Xbox was scanning the track a little bit. When you're first starting out, it really helps to know what's coming. At this point, I've played all of these so many times that I rarely do that. Although I will say that the PS4 is definitely different enough that I'm considering starting to do it as I get towards some of the achievements. So here's the standard trees on the PlayStation. Does not exist on the Xbox at all. That is not a thing. It is not there. And tons of rocks and stuff. There is, we'll see some hay bales here, I think, coming up. And one thing I think is, see, there's hay bales there. In fact, I was going to go over and play with this one, and I did not get it lined up well enough to do that. But here I'm driving into the hay bale. Yep, that was fun. And then I tried to drive into some of these gates. There's only certain ones you can do this with. Okay, so I've got to do sponsor stuff. Sponsor is obviously easier on these lower settings, so this one will not have a track on it. On the Xbox side, I think I'm actually doing the same thing, except I'm choosing the kinetic track. Those are awesome because you can see it's almost straight downhill. Oh, so on the PS4 side, I was really fucking around with stuff over here. So I try to do wall riding, which is cool, but you start to slide, which is still okay because you get points for sliding, but you gotta be really careful where you're sliding because there's rocks and shit in the side of that face somehow. And you don't see a lot of those faces do exist in the Xbox, just not to this extent. That stand of trees, though, I can't get over that shit. And here I am, a knucklehead, insisting that I do this. So it's still cool to do, but one of the things that can be a problem when you get as high up and you're riding horizontally like I am here is coming back down again. And there's no checkpoints on any of this, right? So this one we come down all right, and some of these trees you can drive through, and some of them you can't. So, anyway, you can see I pissed away a lot of lives in this one. So I decided to kind of stop doing that. So I didn't have to reset this whole thing. But you can see there's a lot of stuff on the PS4 side, and it actually kind of looks like I'm having some minor frame rate issues even with this one. So that should never happen on the PS4 Pro, like ever. That should never ever happen. So anyway, we did some of the sponsor tasks that I don't need to do. And of course, so on the Xbox side, getting into some of this, I actually just say the hell with the tracks completely. I just kind of say, fuck it, I'm not even doing tracks, right? And you'll see that not on this one, but in one of the future ones here, where I just ignore the track completely. Because look, you actually have to drive around looking for stuff. Look at this. There is nothing there. Nothing. Now look at the PS4 side. There's shit everywhere. And the track is a lot wider on the Xbox for some reason. But if you veer off the track on the PS4 side, you have to be super, super careful. Or you are going to be eating some fucking turf somewhere. And this one, oh, and there's a way that you can crash into the gates every single time. Which is basically to do a jump and then a skid right after that. So jump and skid really quickly, and you will cause your rider to lose all the traction that they might have had and just go sailing into the gates every time. So that's fun. I think this is the one where, yeah, so on the Xbox side I just said fuck it. Fuck the track. And look, there's nothing. It is wide open green. Just look anywhere on the fucking PS4 side. This one actually is not too bad, but there's bits of castle and shit everywhere. Like, fucking, look at that, look at this. You've already passed more stuff on the PS4 side, probably than the entire map has, by the way, you have to hit those a little bit more precisely, but there's more shit we've already passed on the PS4 side than there is probably on the entire fucking map on the Xbox side. And oh man, is that frustrating for somebody who just wants to go fast. Me, I just want to go fast. And so, let's see, you can see we're dialing in a lot of reputation. So what I usually do on the Xbox is I will go until there is basically only one left to get. So it'll say the sun is setting, and if you get to where it says hurry up, you're going to be doing the boss track in the dark, which is, it's doable on some of the early levels, but it's still a pain. I don't recommend it. The only two that I would say is the first two levels of Career and Career Plus, which is namely the Highlands and the Desert, respectively. If you try to do the other ones in the dark, you are fucking asking for it. You're begging for a hurt me at that point. Alright, and see on the PS4 side I got tired. So I'm already over 5,000 reputation on the Xbox side. And we're going to take a minute here and see where we actually wind up on the PS4. Let's see where we're at right now. So we are at about 3,000. So we're 2,000. Right now we are 2,000 behind the pace of the Xbox. You know, partially that's because we have to go a lot slower. We can't just rev up a bunch of reputation by going flat out. So you can see there the sun is setting over on the Xbox side. That means you have one track after this before it gets dark. So usually when I see that, I'll do the track I'm on, and then I will head to the boss track. I don't do that on Forest, and I don't do that on Canyon, because to be honest with you, those levels, sunset is still a little bit difficult to see. Yep, and there's hay bale on the track. I fucked up the rock jump over on the Xbox side. Okay, so usually when I pick crew members, I pick them so that I can go fast. That's all I really care about is just making this son of a bitch go. Again, neither one of these is color tuned. Alright, so the Xbox side, we're sending right now to the boss track. The PS4, we've got 1 or 2 tracks I think we can ride. We're a little bit slower, of course, on this side, just because these tracks are just not as fast. And so you can see we're not even at 5,000. We're about 4,200 reputation right now on the PS4 side. And I don't know where the Xbox... Well, we still got to do the boss track, or at least complete the boss track. So we'll see there in a second on that one. Okay, so this one, I think we're riding another one, and I think after that it is the boss track. The Xbox, I don't really obviously have a need to mine reputation anymore. The PS4, I really realistically don't either, but I still would like to get it grooving. Alright, so this one looks like it's fairly straightforward. So now we're over 5,000 finally. And okay, we're going to the boss track. We should be sending both of them there here in a second. So this one, if you don't let go of the acceleration, it's really hard to clear the boss jump doing that. So, alright, here we go. We got a mini boss jump here. Those are good for a couple hundred reputation. So I try to always do those. So that particular one, you need to be at generally mid 40s to successfully hit it. And that might be something I do, is to go through all the mini boss jumps and all of the actual boss jumps. This particular one, you want to be between 65 and low 70s, and you might need to add in an additional jump at the end of it. So that one, okay, so that track we ended about, the Highland we ended about 5,400, and let's see where we finished on the Xbox side. And we're chickening out again, and so that one is about 6,300. So we're about 1,000. We're about 1,000 off the pace for the PS4 side right now. And again, a lot of that has to do with the speed that you can actually take the tracks. And of course, it's supposed to be procedurally generated, which is a fancy way of saying randomized. So every one of these tracks, I do think there are some canned tracks, but a lot of times it's generating them just out of nowhere. Now, look at this. This is the hugest difference here. Look at how wide that fucking Xbox. It's like a goddamn it's a fucking freeway. Look at this shit. It is a freeway on the Xbox side compared to the PlayStation. The PlayStation's got these fucking trees on, look, they're on top of the track. They're actually the borders of the track. These things, fuck, you've got like 3, maybe 4 bicycle lanes there, completely empty with trees nowhere near the fucking track. Nowhere near. Look at this shit. Look at that. It's a goddamn freeway compared to the fucking PS4. A lot of people have said that this is by far the hardest level on Career Path. No question about that. And I don't know where the Xbox dude is going. Oh, I think I'm looking for shit to drive into because there is none. Fuck. Alright, so obviously that is not the case on the PS4 side. So what you really want is as few curves as possible. That is by far, it doesn't matter on Highlands or Desert. But on Forest, you want as few curves as possible. So the PS4 side, I didn't really have any good options, but you can see there's no curves at all on the PlayStation or on the Xbox side. And look at this, it's a fucking free. There's no. Where are the trees? Why aren't the trees on top of the fucking track like they are on the PS4 side? I've heard a lot of people get pissed off at the Forest level and not want to play this game because this is such a demanding series of stuff here. And I understand fucking completely. Like, look, you can see I'm mining rep like crazy on the Xbox side. Although, actually, interestingly enough, the PS4 is now ahead somehow of the other one. That's interesting. It was 1,000 behind, and now it's ahead. Huh. Well, whatever. But you can see this is just obscene. How? Look at this. Okay, so there's houses. That house is smoking. You can go. These houses do not exist in Xbox. PlayStation only. There's campers. There's vans, vehicles. People just abandoning their shit in the woods. Only on PlayStation. There's graffiti in here. You can ride into these houses. There's not really a reason to do it, but you can. And this is where the bike mechanics get to be kind of a pain with this, because you can't actually look around. Like, you should be able, like, you'd be able to get out of that if you were actually on a bike, but in this game it is kind of a pain. You can see the textures. There's roots and stuff everywhere on the PS4. Does not exist on the Xbox side. Look at this. This is like fucking Highlands over on the Xbox side. Meanwhile, over on the PlayStation side, we've got just these tremendously much more difficult tracks to go through. Alright, let's try to get a feel for where we're at, reputation-wise, if we can here. So, on the PS4, I try to get through this as quickly as possible. On the Xbox side, I don't even have to brake most of the time. So, 7,600 for the Xbox, though now it's ahead. So, it's ahead by 300 over the PS4 side. But I don't really look at getting reputation. Look at this, there's tents. Let's go see the tents. Again, this does not exist. You can drive into stuff. Here's the thing with this game. You can drive into almost anything on this as long as you're going slow enough. So we've got all these vehicles and stuff. None of it is in the fucking Xbox side. We can drive into chairs. I think let's go knock over some chairs. Oh yeah, there we go. Here's one. Knock over another one, buddy. There you go. Oh, missed it. Pocket, whatever. Alright, so you got to be really careful going off track on the PlayStation on this level, because if you get lost in this, it sucks trying to find your way back to it. In the Xbox, you can almost just go find a high place somewhere and find it. Almost, look at how many fucking trees there are on the PS4 side. It's almost impossible. It's just crazy to me, like, how huge of a difference this is. Even the Highlands is a little more manageable. Still a really pronounced difference, but fuck, man. I mean, this one, No Trail, sucks on the PS4 Forest. It's manageable on the Xbox side. Oh, and over on the Xbox, I hate those little ramps I just hit there. But I decided not to skip anything on the Xbox side. So I'm trying to hit literally everything I can. Just because I knew there was such an unfair advantage between the two. Look at this. No trees even on the fucking track. God damn. The only good so there's a good thing here about the Forest is that there you go, look at some more stuff over here. So about the Forest is that you can ride around the boss track. There's two on career that you can ride around generally, and that is the first two. So Highlands and Forest, and I believe that's what I did on these. You can't do it on Canyon, and there's no way of doing it on Peaks either. You can't ride around either of those. On the Career Plus, actually Career Plus, we'll talk about that when we get to it. But you can see there's just stuff everywhere. So One thing I will say about this Forest, a couple things actually. First one is you need to be able to steer while braking. If you cannot steer while braking, you are going to bail. The second thing is, one of the more annoying parts about the PS4, from my perspective anyway, is you will see dummy, fake out boss tracks. So we saw some of the Ranger Towers there. The only time you see them on Xbox is if you're going to jump them. So you don't ever see the you don't ever see Ranger Towers, stuff like that, unless you are getting ready to jump one of them. And that kind of fake out stuff can be really disorienting. So that part I'm not really a fan of that. And over on the Xbox side, I'm just finding shit to do. Just whatever, you know. I will say also, I forgot to mention it in the preceding section, but on the Highland track, that train just comes in and out of stuff. So it just, don't try to steer, by the way, on those little bridge things over the rocks, like the PS4 just did. Make sure that you're lined up before you hit it. But anyway, back to that. So that train, I followed the train to try to see where it goes. I've been hit by the train multiple times. Over the train is always worth it for reputation, because you can add, basically triple the reputation by doing that. But it just disappears into the side of the mountain. I've ridden up there a couple times to see if I can, you know, tinker with the train, if there's some secret hidden thing. Nope, nothing there. Over on the Xbox side, I'm doing stuff that actually is not possible to do because the trees are so close on the Xbox side. It's a pity. It's just really a shame. So we should be closing in here pretty quick. Here it is. Yeah, here's the boss track. Oh, I wanted to show you this. Look at the distance. It all blacks out. It's like, this is so fucking hard to do with this fog. And this doesn't exist, by the way, in the Xbox either. That is not a thing in the Xbox. What you just witnessed, and of course it gave it to me on this fucking, and then it gave me a mini boss track too. Those you want to hit in the mid 40s, by the way. Don't go over like the low 50s or you'll hit your head. But man, maybe I'll do that in a future video. Who knows? But so with this one, I'm 3,000. As you can see, this off the pace. 3,000 right now off the pace between Xbox and PS4. Xbox, I'm like way ahead of things. And we'll try to take a look here at the finish. This sucked because I lost track of where the finish was. I can't imagine how that would have been the case on this PS4 side. I don't know how I ever would have lost track where the goddamn fucking boss jump was, but I somehow managed it. When you can only see just meters ahead of you, oh, it sucks. There's a teepee. Oh, there it is. Okay. So, yeah. Good thing that you can ride around it, right? Alright, so, and there you have it. That is the look at the desert and the forest. Like I was saying, there is just so much more shit to run into. Just more textures, more objects in the PS4. It's really kind of amazing how much of a difference there is. I think there is also, so I know there's one costume you can only get on the Xbox. I don't know if there's a PS4 costume also. I didn't see one. But the outside of that, that's just the, you know, the mechanism. The one thing I actually do like is all the mechanics are the same. So left trigger brake, right trigger accelerate is the same on both of those. I like the triggers actually better on the Xbox controller. The PS4 paddles are kind of derpy to me. The rest of the buttons I like, you know, especially the thumbsticks. I like those better on the PS4. But just the triggers themselves, I actually do like a little bit better because they feel more like a trigger on the Xbox. So, but for the next video, we'll be looking, as I said before, canyons and peaks. There are not as many differences in those, but there are some as well. And we'll take a look at those and coming up in the very next video. But hopefully you guys are digging it. And of course, we will see you then for that next one. And until that time, as I always swears, peace out.